taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
Welcome to hour 2 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here live on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm here talking with Miko Grimes. We are getting into all the topics of the day. We've talked about the Real Housewives, Nene Leakes. You know, she's always good for a key. We talked a little bit about Bronny James and what was happening with him. We talked about Doja Cat. And now we're going to get into Dwight Howard. So we talked about a little bit last week that there are some allegations that have been levied against him by a gentleman. They are accusing him of basically assault, unwanted contact. This is according to Radar Online. So Dwight recently appeared on Way Up with Ye, Angela Yee's show. And, you know, he sort of responded to the commentary. He commented.
What did he say?
He had something to say. He had a little bit to say. And I mean, to a degree, we're going to play the clip here in a second. I'm just giving you guys a little build up. To a degree, I respect what he says. I mean, because it's true, you know, we'll see. We'll get into it in 1 second. But I just feel like Dwight's at an interesting crossroads of his career, especially when you look at how he started out, how he came into the league, talking about Christianity and being a virgin. And he's just had a long, wild, strange ride. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, you know, he doesn't get to be all the way himself. And it's troubling, maybe. But this is what he had to say. Check this out from Way Up with Ye.
But now, like, people saying, like, I don't spend time with my kids, or, you know, I'm a deadbeat dad, or that I would ever do anything to hurt my kids. All the other noise that people say about whatever they think my personal life is, that's my personal life. Right. And I would never make public statements about anything private of mine when it comes to who's in my bed or anything like that. But
I did see an interview where you said the gay rumors aren't true because those were things that people kept bringing up.
Of course.
Yeah.
They're going to say stuff like that to keep this whole negative train going. We got to find a way to assassinate this man's character.
So you think that all stems from these situations and somebody is out there, there's people out there that are conspiring
I
to put things in the media?
I feel like there could be. But again, my focus is not on those people that's conspiring it against me.
Okay.
My focus is on this podcast that I'm trying to get out.
Which would be great because then you'll be able to address things yourself.
Who's all on the podcast? But is it just you or
And the
guests or
I'm going to have a lot of guests.
Okay.
I do have a section called Talking Shit on there.
It's bleeped.
And then it's going to be my cousin. His name is Bode. He's kind of like a comedian. He's from the country. So he's from Swainsboro, where I'm from. And it's kind of like I'm going to be going back and forth talking shit about world topics.
So basically, Dwight is saying that his personal business is personal business. He's not going to comment on that anymore, but he's a good dad. And Royce, before all of this came out, was discussing on Instagram Live about her situation with him and his sons. And she said that every time something big is about to hit, Dwight does stuff with his children to kind of deflect and distract. And then this case came out. And so I think that it's probably hard because Dwight wants to be whoever he wants to be, but he's fighting against it, and he has this image that he's built up. At this time, do you think it's time for him to just, I don't know, it seems like he's still struggling with trying to put out an image, even though he says he's not.
Well, one thing that I learned, and this is from experience with my friends of mine that are gay, is it's when you're in the closet, and I this is my opinion, I'm allowed to have one, but I believe he's in the closet and he doesn't want people to know his personal business in that way. It always ekes out because you can't be yourself. You know, like things are going to happen. All these little coincidences, all these people coming forward about your sexual innuendos. This is your choice. This is you. These are people you're choosing to lay in the bed with or to have any type of relationships with.
Seems to start a lot on social media,
Yeah.
a lot of DM diving.
Yeah, like we can read, Dwight. You know we can read, right? We read what you said. And I don't know where you from, but anybody that wants to see another man's penis and sending those emojis, that's a clean word, right?
I think so. Yeah, it's a clean word.
Clean
Andy's
word.
giving us the
Clean.
thumbs up.
Yes.
We're clean.
I think that, you know, someone's has a right to assume that you're a homosexual. You know what I mean? And if you don't want your business in the streets, stop DMing. Like, stop. Like, stop. We know.
It's got to be another option. I mean,
He can't be himself. And it's hard.
it is.
It's hard to not be yourself. And I really wish, it's sad, but I really wish people could just be themselves. You know, like I just wish they could, it wasn't a big deal. No one cared, like, you know, that you were gay. Like you're still Dwight Howard. You're still this great basketball player, you know. But
Especially, I feel like at this point, because I mean, I know he's not officially retired. We know he's not in the league.
Right.
I don't know what his plans are, if he's going to try and get into someone's camp this season, or if he's cool. I think it's Taiwan. Where is he playing?
Taiwan, yeah.
Yeah, if he's cool playing over there and he's made enough money that he can do whatever. I know he probably has a lot of child support to contend with. But, I mean, I get his, I'm not going to discuss it, but the other side to that is you should be able to live how you want to. And at this point, I feel you stop answering questions, but stop hiding too and building up these walls. And
yeah,
just
stop doing interviews.
free yourself.
We can read, Dwight. Okay, we read the DMs. Don't lie in our face. Like, just don't do any interviews then. Like, why are you doing interviews? If you're not going to talk about what happens, get off the mic. Now you're doing a podcast. You know we going to be in your business. Like, come on.
Do you think that he will ever come clean about it, maybe with this podcast? Because I wonder that as well, too. I wonder, is it just he doesn't know what else to do? I mean, because surely it's not like this is something new that has come up as far as following
Right.
him. The people that, not in general, I'm sure he's, you know, has concerns about various people, but the people that he worked with day to day, I'm sure quite a bit of them figured out what it was. I'm sure some of them have the same situation, and maybe or maybe not he bonded with them. But at this point, isn't it just time to just let it go and just live your life? You're not even in the spotlight in that way anymore either. I just feel like the way that he handles it still causes it to be a tidal wave, because at this
Yes.
point,
You're sloppy. You're sloppy. Like, you're sloppy. Meet some people the right way. Go introduce, you know, get introduced to somebody, go on a date. Stop DM diving, dumpster diving, you know, trying to look for penis pictures and all this stuff that you're doing. Like, you're Dwight Howard, for crying out loud. Like, have some pride, some respect for yourself. Aren't there some other ways for you to meet people? Like, I don't know. I just feel like if you don't want people to know, you can't be doing it that way.
Hinge, Grinder, something. I don't know.
Personal, people need to introduce you to someone. That means you need to be honest with people about being, you know, into men, and just live your life.
Do you think like that is because there's some athletes, as we know, that are very good with podcasts and they're great. They run the gamut. We know kind of where it started. But do you think at this point, much like at one point in time, you know, athletes, they were like, oh, I got a record company. Oh, I got a clothing line. Is that where we're at as far as athletes and podcasts?
I just think that athletes, there's so many people always talking about them, saying how they feel, saying what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. And I feel like right now they are able to say what they want to say, and they want to say it. Like they've never really been able to before. Remember, they had to be quiet. They had to fake it and say exactly what the coach is telling them to do. Now they found their voice, and now they want to talk about it. The only problem I would have with it is if you're not being honest. And I just don't see Dwight Howard like having a podcast where you're going to lie. Are you going to just lie the whole time? Like, what do you,
Maybe he'll talk about snakes.
Oh, God.
And amphibians. He does seem to have an affinity for those. When we come forward, we'll have more with Miko Grimes. All of that and more. You are listening to all the entertainment topics and trending headlines. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Contracts, and grants. This is Rambo, and I'm back August 5th. Contracts, and grants. I'll be at the Westin Hotel, LAX, Saturday, August 5th. Me and my guests are fast-paced in the contracts and grants. They only speak 6 minutes each. I have LA County, I have the city, I even have Everett, the CEO of Lindustry, coming to talk to you guys. And for the first time ever, I have Metro's Director of Certification coming. We average over 700 attendees, so you know the rules. Parking's about $15 with the event validation, event, coffee, snacks, all free, paid for by Rambo and Lindustry. And yes, you can bring guests. So save your seat, DeonRambo.com. Listen, contract ready's only 2 hours from 10 a.m. to 12. But if you get there around 9:30, I'll probably be doing some Q&As and things like that before the events I never get a chance to do. I honestly keep saying, I don't know what's more important for LA businesses right now than local contracts. So I'm back, Westin Hotel, LAX, Saturday, August 5th. August 5th. It takes 2 minutes to register. DeonRambo.com. Go register now. DeonRambo.com.
Where are we on the lineup?
It's official. Avery is producing Main Street Music
We
Days.
need to be ready. We're going to have lots of people. What's the status on the new sound engineer?
They need an audio technician to keep
Remember
things
to get
level
both
from
right.
sound checks to
Make
encores.
sure audio from one stage does not compete with another.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So we were discussing Dwight Howard and Zakiya Wright in the chat. She says, as straight people, we should not be passing any judgment on gay people. We don't know what that life is like. Get a gay person to discuss this.
Did we pass judgment?
I don't think that we did pass judgment. I actually thought that we were on Dwight's side. I want him to feel free and be happy.
Yeah.
I'm not judging.
What did we judge him on?
Right. I'm not.
Did we judge him on lying?
We judged him on lying.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. I think that that's fair. Zakiah also says, I don't think it's fair for anyone to just say live your life and be honest when that's not a life we don't know anything about.
I know about, how does she know that I'm not gay? How do you know that, ma'am? How do you know that?
We don't. See,
Yeah.
we don't know. We don't really know anything. I think that's a
Yeah.
fair point. You got to take people at face value. And I think the conversation isn't right or wrong whether he should be making that choice as far as who he wants to go to bed with. I mean,
That is
it's
his
not.
business.
It really is his business. What we are saying, though, is that at this point, I know a lot of his hesitancy to get into that, obviously, as a black man going through that, as one with a Christian background, there is lots of things that you have to deal with there. But I also think that there comes a point where you have to live for you, to help you be better for your children. You know, this type of back and forth, this type of tension can't be good for them to see and experience either. So, you know, I don't know. Andy, what do you have to say?
I might have not been paying attention, so, excuse me if this has already been said. But I think Dwight Howard just needs to hold himself accountable from the standpoint that, when he came into prominence, he was pushing this whole Christian thing so big. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people, obviously, they held him to that regard. And then you start seeing these things and hearing stuff, this, that, and the third. And he doesn't want to, hold himself accountable or admit to what could potentially be the truth. It's like, you're leading people astray to a degree. You know what I mean? You're not, just be real. We're not going to trip, bro.
I do, because again, I'm not going to say I don't understand why it's hard for him or why he doesn't necessarily want everybody in his business. That's an obvious thing. I'm also not going to act as if I don't understand that there's certain steps that you have to deal with within yourself. But I do think that the choices he makes, and obviously we're a long time removed from the situation with he and Royce, but I think part of the reason why that played out and Royce is his oldest son's mother. I think part of the reason why that played out the way that it did over the internet, so nasty, so many court cases, and why it's still sort of continuing is because he was fighting with himself, really.
Yeah, bad choices, bad decisions being made, and you have to that's what I'm saying. He's not holding himself accountable for anything, not just the DMs that are coming out and this person accusing him of sexual assault. It's just your life. A lot of the most inappropriate things have played out in this way, and you've still not stood in a lot of those things, and just said, this is where I messed up at, and that's fine. But we're also allowed to critique you on those things as well when we see you saying one thing and doing another.
Absolutely. And I mean, really, if you're going to have a podcast,
right,
you got to talk a little bit about it, Zach. Come on, a little bit, Dwight, just a little bit. If you're going to
get a podcast, what are you going to be talking? Are you going to be lying?
He said his cousin is a comedian. I think he said his cousin's name is Bode, and he's real country.
So what, is this going to be a funny podcast? They go crack jokes?
Listen, maybe. I don't know. Seems like he got a little something to say. All right, Dwight, we'll see you on the other side. We'll wait to see what happens with that. So I mentioned LeBron James and Steph Curry. Obviously, the two of them are tied together in history, especially if you look back over the past 10 years or so. They met in, 6 finals?
Mm-hmm. They were both a part out of 2. The last 10 years, I think they were part of every finals except for 2.
4. So it was 4 head-to-head finals. Obviously, there are random facts of life that connect them together. They were born in the same hospital, I think a year or 2 apart. They've met up all these times in the finals. So recently, Steph was asked about his relationship with LeBron. And I guess, Andy, I probably should have sent you this clip since I have it, huh? I can't. It's not too late. I'm going to send you the clip so we can play exactly what Steph said. I think that we haven't really had, as far as a rivalry, 2 players like this, I feel like, in a long time. Because who's Kobe's rival? Not one person, if you think about it. He didn't really have anyone. Kobe's rival was Shaq. That is very fair. That is who his rival was.
Sadly.
Dang shame about that. What you got to say, Andy? I see you.
Man, Kobe had some rivals. Ruben Patterson. Raja Bell.
No.
But I guess because
Kobe
they
had
didn't
some
win.
challengers.
Okay. All right.
Kobe had some challengers.
Yeah, that's just like when Memphis said that they had a rivalry with the Warriors, and Draymond said, "You haven't won anything. It can't be a rivalry until you win. Like, you're just in the way. You're just a roach that I'm stepping on my way to a championship."
Exactly. Ruben Patterson, the Kobe stopper. Shout out to him in those Portland Trailblazer years.
Yeah,
but
there was you could say Tim Duncan maybe, like, there was, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't like this. Both of those two have been to the finals. I think only 2 of the years they've both been there, and for me, like, that's almost like a little brother, big brother type of thing, where he's just getting on your nerve. He's just always there. He's always around. Always, you love him, but you really tired of seeing him every day when y'all sharing the bathroom or something like that. You know what I mean? It's got to feel like that. Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, even in the movie Shooting Stars, which was based on LeBron's high school career, they even showed him going to check out Steph play and him crossing paths with Melo and stuff like that. Or did they make mention of it? I don't think they could they have shown that? Were they in high school at the same time? I might be getting that mixed up with the Carmelo part.
No, I think he went to go
I know
see
he
him.
really did that in real life. I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember if I'm making it up that it was in the movie. I think I might be making it up that it was in the movie. But they have this relationship. They have this rivalry. And I think it's complicated because I think people maybe it's such a weird time period, because I feel like people don't really remember the old NBA when there were actual rivalries, or when there was some, at least it appeared to be. And we also have gotten into this era, where everybody's really close, everybody's really friends, especially when you think about somebody like LeBron. LeBron brought the AAU attitude, I feel like, to the NBA.
Yeah.
So he made it where everybody's
different.
buddies, and it's a different type
together,
of thing.
They train together, and some people in the old eras feel like you can't really compete with somebody that you call your friend.
Do you feel that way? Like,
No,
how you're not competitive?
I will bust my friends, you know what? Like,
And
I don't feel that way, and I'm from that era, but I can see that. I can understand how you can still be highly competitive against your friends. You actually want to beat them more, I feel like.
So with Steph and LeBron, they have this kind of,
hate.
I don't know. He didn't say hate. He didn't use that term. He said that it was complicated. Andy, do we have it? Not yet. Okay, so we're going to bring it up in a second. But so let me ask you about this, right? Because we're obviously at a time where it's changing over as far as the NBA. LeBron's on his way out. He's heading into his 21st year. And we don't know how different it's going to be now, especially considering he might have some additional things on his plate now with that. But it's obviously a changing of the guard in the NBA, right? And so where do you consider Steph as far as new NBA, old NBA? Is he in the middle? Is he the separator? Because you have people like, Trae Young, John Morant,
Those are
Devin
new.
Booker.
Yeah, Steph is definitely old. Like, Steph, Steph is not young.
Right.
He might
He's what,
look like a
33?
12-year-old, but
How old is Steph? 33?
I think he's 33 or 34. Yeah, he looks like a 12-year-old, but it's a grown man right there. And he's definitely the old NBA. He's in that group. He's just the younger version of the old NBA. You know what I mean? So he's not on the older echelon of the old NBA. He's on the bottom tier of the older NBA players.
So with that being said, and since the NBA is changing yet again, do you think that these next era of superstars are going to have the same type of impact?
Probably more.
You think more?
Yeah. The youth, they're so lost. It's wasted.
But the kids don't even watch basketball anymore.
Exactly.
They don't even watch the whole thing. So you think...
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They're watching social media more than basketball, and that's why.
So
they're watching what they're doing, what they're wearing, how they're dancing, what kind of music they're listening to, much more than the actual game. So it's kind of creepy.
Okay. Are we ready? Do we have that? Nope. Okay. Well, maybe not. Well, maybe we'll come back to it. So let me I can short circuit it. Steph said it's complicated. is, long story short, because of how many times they faced up against each other. And it's not that they're not friends, but that it's a really complicated situation. Do you think it'll be a situation like when LeBron finally retires and when Steph retires, that they will come around and like be BFFs and somebody will do a documentary on the both of them?
Yeah, and I also think they're probably going to go into business together as well, because it seems that they're both on the same wave of, giving back, supporting the community, and also, building a legacy for their families. And so if they haven't thought about it, I would love to see them doing some type of work together, even if it's ownership of a team,
okay,
NBA, NFL, anything. Like, I would love to see them get money together. That would be nice.
Okay, we're going to play the clip now.
Okay. Is there one word you'd use to describe your relationship with LeBron? Because there is a scene in the movie where he goes to watch you at Davidson.
It's complex because you go from playing in the tournament, him coming to watch, to me coming in as a young rookie in the league and him giving me advice on how to, get through some of the early struggles that I was going to go through as a player, to, the 4 finals appearances in a row playing against each other, to even last year playing in the playoffs again. So he's a great dude, great friend, great competitor. It's amazing to go back and look at where it all started.
Okay, Andy?
Low-key, I just think LeBron is low-key jealous.
Of Steph?
100%. And the reason why I say that is because, to me, it kind of goes along Kobe and LeBron, right?
Where's it coming from, though? What with the jealousy? Where?
I think it's LeBron was considered like the guy, right? And Steph's ascension, his name started to get a little bit brighter, where a lot of the attention was more so on Steph as opposed to LeBron. I think that's the reason why us Los Angelinos, we hate LeBron so much.
Who's we? Speak for yourself.
Okay, well, I'm gonna speak for myself, and I think there's a lot of people in Los Angeles that will agree with me.
Yes.
That
you don't think LeBron gets a statue?
Yes, he absolutely
Hell
will.
No. Hell no.
Yes, he will.
Cause look, when after Shaq left, right? LA, we riding with Kobe through thick and thin.
You're a big time Kobe
now
fan,
all of a sudden, here comes LeBron. Now here comes LeBron. His name is bubbling. He's MVPs. This, that, and the third. We ain't rocking with that. We didn't like that at all. Kobe was supposed to be the guy, but LeBron
Kobe was the guy.
I don't understand.
Are you saying that you're talking about their rivalry?
He's a Kobe fan, huh?
They don't talk about Kobe the way they talk about LeBron.
Are you serious?
Come on now.
Yeah.
When you talk about top 5, they never mention Kobe's name like that.
Oh, well, you talking about in the top 5?
Just
that's
being
different.
Just
that's
being
different.
Being the guy, being the face. You know what I'm saying? I think LeBron rivaled Kobe in that regard, as Kobe was ascending, away from Shaq, right? It was at the same time LeBron was ascending, and I think LeBron kind of surpassed Kobe in that regard. I'm not a big fan of that, but it's what's real.
I think they just never got a chance to meet up, like
That
injuries,
too.
whatever. They never got
That
a
too.
chance to really have, head-to-head
The
matches.
timing was off. They weren't in their prime at the same time. They don't play the same position. Like, that's just what that is. He's a Kobe fan.
Of course I am. 100%.
You know what? I can always tell a Kobe fan, the way they speak about LeBron, it tells me everything I need to know. You are one of those fans who you love Kobe so much that it makes you hate LeBron.
Look, I'm a fan.
And that is really sad.
I root for him because he has a Laker jersey
That's
on now.
sad.
It's not sad. It's what's
sad.
real.
That's sad.
It's competitive, but LeBron, I think there's a little bit of jealousy that he has with Steph Curry.
Okay, but tell me, just because you think that it's because that Steph started to ascend during the 2010s when it was his time?
Absolutely.
But
this was
LeBron's
what's
league. Jealous? It's still LeBron's league, but what's jealous? What do you mean?
Just the fact that Steph Curry's.
But what do you mean by, you got to give me an example of showing the jealousy?
Do you remember 2015? I think it was I forgot what game it was, but I want to say like LeBron had blocked Steph Curry's shot, right? And he looked at him like, I'm gonna show you the pic. We got to go to break, but we'll talk about this later.
When we come forward, you'll have more on all of this rivalry and Lakers stuff. You were checking out KBLA Talk 1580 RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The White House says President Biden was never in business with his son Hunter. That's what Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters Monday. Her statement was in response to allegations claiming a Ukrainian energy executive paid millions in bribes to Biden and his son during the president's time in the Obama administration. A black Alabama woman who claimed she was kidnapped after seeing a baby on the highway is admitting it was all a hoax. On Monday, Carly Russell's attorney announced she wasn't abducted by anyone. On this day in history in 1997, a federal jury in New York convicted Autumn Jackson of extortion. The young woman who claimed to be Bill Cosby's out-of-wedlock daughter was found guilty of trying to extort $40 million from the entertainer. The U.S. Mint says Miami's Cuban queen of salsa will be the first Afro-Latina to be featured on a U.S. coin. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent, local agent, local agent.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com.
We boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, could potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
I'm James Alexander, a proud member of AARP. 1967, I was 17. That spring, my friends, the Barcades, and I made Soulfinger. It was a hit. Number 3 on the charts. That summer, we became the great Otis Redding's band. First gig, the famed Apollo. That fall, we toured. That winter found me in a morgue identifying the bodies of my bandmates and Otis Redding. My music and their memories bring me joy. The Barcades, forever.
What would you call a joy that is as solemn as it is sweet and knows no bounds? A joy that's beautifully rooted in soul and resilience. This is Black Joy, a joy that reflects pride and honor despite every challenge. AARP believes the power of Black joy is limitless, and we celebrate this joy supreme. Join us in celebrating Black joy at aarp.org/blackcommunity.
To my hometown, my community. Some of you have known me my whole life. Do you notice anything different about the kids in the neighborhood? Ever paid attention? You might start with gifts, money, attention. These are signs. Child trafficking is happening right here in this town. So don't just watch through the window. Pay attention. Because the more we know, the more we'll all know to say no. Learn the signs to look for and how to help at no-to-say-no.com.
In our community, mental health struggles can sometimes go unnoticed. The suicide rate among Black youth has risen faster than any other ethnic group. Only 1 in 3 African Americans who need mental health care receives it. African American women are only half as likely as their Caucasian counterparts to seek professional mental health services. Even those who guide us spiritually can sometimes face their own challenges. 45% of pastors say they've experienced depression or burnout to the extent they need to take a leave of absence from ministry. As people of faith, it's time to acknowledge it's okay not to be okay. You can pray and get help. Visit normalizehelp.org for more information and resources. Join us in raising mental health awareness in our community. Funded by the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health and the Champion Counseling Center of Faithful Central Bible Church.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's playing hard to get.
She's playing hard to get. She's playing.
This was a vibe. You know what's crazy when you think about High Five? Other than the tragedy, because like so much crazy stuff happened to the different members. If you really think about their first single, Just Can't Handle It, that song could not come out today in 2023. They would be calling the woman of his affection all types of groomers and all of that stuff. I don't know. It's just a different music scene. This is a different thing, you know?
Yeah.
High Five was a bop, though. Shout out to you, Andy. You've been playing all the little jams. It's a vibe tonight. I'm not sure what it is.
I ain't heard that in a while either.
You know, but it's a vibe. It's like low-key a love vibe. I don't know. Even though that's not what we're on. That's what I'm getting the feeling. You know, we had Doja Rules. We had... what else do we have? We had Portrait, Here We Go, I think. Did I make that up? Okay, we did have that. All right, and then now High Five, she's playing hard to get. So somebody's got something on their mind. Not me, though. You know. So, okay, this story is crazy, and I think this is probably not appropriate to say crazy runs in someone's family, but let's just say that a level of dysfunction is flowing through this family. So Dennis DJ Hernandez, that is the brother of Aaron Hernandez. He's been arrested after allegedly planning shootings for Brown University and the University of Connecticut.
Whoa.
So the Bristol Police Department says Hernandez showed signs of being gravely disabled and a danger to society this month, according to TMZ Sports. A woman who identified herself as an ex of Hernandez told cops that he took her car, drove to Brown and UConn, and went into a number of classrooms and buildings. Another person told the cops that he was planning to shoot at the two schools. Documents also say that Hernandez, he played football at UConn, wrote on social media on July 19th that he had warned his enemies that he would definitely kill them. Police located him later that day. There was a standoff. He told officers to kill him. They ended up tasering him and taking him to the hospital for evaluation. So he was released on bond. He was booked. He was released from the hospital, booked on charges of threatening a breach of peace. Say that 5 times fast. Can't anymore. Anyway, and he was held on $250,000 bond, and he's waiting for court. This is the 4th time that he's been arrested. He was arrested in May after a police pursuit. He was arrested a few days later after he threw a brick at an ESPN building. And then he was arrested a 3rd time after missing a court date related to the ESPN incident. So,
you know, it's so sad because I think about people that look like me and they do something, or maybe not even do something, some type of crime they get accused of, and they are locked up for months, sometimes a year, just to get a court date. And then you hear stuff like this of someone continually doing things that is showing that they're a threat to society, and they just keep getting out.
Do you think that I mean, obviously, you threaten to shoot up a school. They have to take you seriously, especially at this point in time. But do you think that any of this, the way that they are responding, either kind of not locking him down immediately following some of these incidents, or just, you know, in the way that which they're trailing it, has to do with who his brother is?
I think the system works for white people or non-black people differently. You know, I think that this guy would have been killed. And when he said, shoot me, I think one of them would have gladly put some bullets in him if he was black, and they would have made an excuse for it and a reason for it. That, you know, he threatened all these people. You would have heard all this list of things that you said, and that's why they had to put this dangerous, violent animal down if he was black. You know, so it drives me.
I just, you know, you wonder what type of, and I'm sure that there's going to be claims made of it, the impact of watching his brother go through whatever he went through. They say he was also a football player. So I know that in Aaron Hernandez's autopsy, that they mentioned that there were signs of CTE.
Lots.
So obviously you can never, that's not something that they're able to detect until after you pass. But obviously, with no medical information, no real idea, what percentage do you think football players that came up through that era? Because in theory, we shouldn't see as many signs of it or as many cases of it moving forward.
Why?
Because of, in theory, some of the changes that they're supposedly making with as far as the hits, where the hits are going, because that's the reason why they're supposed to be changing up the hits, right? That's the whole point in changing it up and disappointing the fans, is to make it safer. I don't know if it actually is working, but in theory, moving forward, there should be less causes of that. I know that there's been more emphasis made on helmets, as far as some people have taken the approach that helmets are the first defense, and really where the investment should be in equipment, the technology surrounding that. That is the only way, realistically, they feel, to protect an athlete, oneself, involving something like that. So I don't know. We know that less people are playing football. You have talked about how you wouldn't let your child play football moving forward. So I just wonder where the sport is headed. And in theory, you know.
Well, here's something people don't want to talk about, okay? The helmet is probably the most dangerous thing on the entire uniform. And you know why?
Why?
It gives the athlete a false sense of safety. It does not protect anything. It's all cap, okay? They should actually play the sport without a helmet.
Without a helmet.
Absolutely. And another thing, people think concussions only come from bang, bang. You also get concussions just falling and hitting your head. You know, hitting you someone else's knee. You're on the ground. Someone's knee falls into your head. There's all these different ways that you can get hit in the head that aren't just with a collision of a tackle. So they can't make the game safer. They just can't. It's a violent contact / collision sport. And if you sign up for it, you need to know what comes with it.
Andy?
Real interesting point. It got me thinking. Hypothetically, let's say they didn't use helmets. Do you think that the player would maybe subconsciously maybe not lead with their head when they tackle?
Absolutely. You wouldn't do it. You think that helmet is going to protect you, and that's the biggest problem.
You know what's so interesting about that? You bring up the point that there's different types of ways that you can get a concussion. Most people don't realize that the highest category as far as concussions in youth sports comes from girls soccer.
Soccer, yes.
Because and people
even
don't
professional soccer, they have way more concussions than the NFL.
And
it's
people,
not talked about.
Right. People don't realize that because, to your point, because they're falling down, they're getting kneed in the head, all of these different things kicked in the head. So, to your point, there might not realistically be anything that that we can do, but football is going to press on. I saw something where they were talking about the expansion teams, and we know that they're talking about expanding into Europe, into London, and so forth. And I think about that along with travel and what's still happening as far as the wear and tear on the body, and it kind of makes you wonder. We know it's a cash cow, but how much longer can football survive realistically? When we come forward, we'll get into more of that. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Hollywood Walk of Fame stars in 2024. Stay tuned to find out who's in next year's class. I'm Aisha Cairo with your K-Black Minute News. A new group of 31 entertainment professionals across film, television, radio, recording, and sports entertainment will have their names etched into Hollywood's history in 2024. One of the most celebrated names on the list was the beloved Chadwick Boseman. Others for the class of 2024 in Hollywood Walk of Fame was this year's Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh in the motion picture category. Other notable names include Chris Pine, Gwen Stefani, Andre, Dr. Dre, Young, Otis Redding, Christina Ricci, Brandy Norwood, Harry Washington, and more. The dates for the star ceremonies have not yet been scheduled. To find out all 31 inductees, visit youtube.com/Walk of Fame.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like watering your lawn during the hottest time of the day and leaky faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
Have you heard about Lendistry? Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered right here in LA. Once you've started your business, Lendistry provides flexible financing options starting at $50,000 to help you access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit lendistry.com/KBLA to learn more.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. You're checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe live on KBLA Talk 1580. Remember, if you want to join the conversation, you can hit us up, 800-920-1580. We are also on all social media, KBLA 1580. You can hit me up at Stiletto Jill. If you want to check out Miko, hit her on Instagram, iHeartMiko. You know, there is so much that we have been discussing tonight. We talked a little bit about LeBron James and whether or not he was jealous of Steph Curry. We talked about their complicated relationship. We discussed Dwight Howard and what's going on with him. We talked about Aaron Hernandez's brother, DJ, and the threats that he is making. And we were talking about soccer and how actually that is the leading sport as far as concussions and safety protocol. So as far as the future of the NFL, hard left, but we're going to kind of go there. How many years realistically do you think that the league can last at this pace? Because it's top, it's making money. They're talking about expanding into Europe to expand its footprint. It's going to be harder on the players. I'm sure they'll break up how the conferences go because in theory, if you're on the East Coast, it's closer to go to Europe than it is to come to the West Coast. So they might have an argument for that, but the safety concerns.
Well, first of all, the NFL owns a day of the week. They're also halfway owned 2 other days of the week. And as long as there's broke people that are athletic, that need the money, there will be football. That's what they get. Like football, people want to argue with me about this all the time. Football is not a skill-based sport. There are positions that require skills, but overall it's not a skill-based sport. So a lot of people that are just athletic can play in it. You can make it as a professional athlete. You can make some money. You can get on TV. They're not going to tell you that you're risking your life and your brain and all these things. They're going to continue to do what they do and lie and talk about this brotherhood and this family. And this is a great way to take care of your family, not bringing up any of the side effects and the things that come with it. And as long as people need money and they're willing to give them the money that they're giving them to play this collision sport, then it's gonna continue to flourish.
I mean, you could just be a gamer. They don't make quite as much, but they make a lot of money.
Yeah, but if you're an athlete, if you're an actual athlete, like you want to get that out. Like you want to play a sport, like actually play.
And get that aggression out.
Yeah.
So speaking of money, real quick, we'll touch on Jaylen Brown. He got the biggest contract in NBA history. It's for 5 years, $304 million. I'm always amazed whenever it's these random, I mean, not that Jaylen Brown is random, but still, when you talk about the biggest contract in NBA history, you don't expect it to be attached to Jaylen Brown.
Well, this is just the biggest right now. There's going to be someone in about 8 months to get another biggest contract. So it's really all relative to the years that you came out and when it's your turn to get your Supermax. So this time next year, there's going to be players that are making 355, 400 million because it's going to continue to go up. So right now it's a shock value, but think about 10 years ago, it was 150 million was like, whoa, somebody got 5 years, 150 million. Now here we are 10 years later and it's 304. So it's just a right now thing. And he is, even though he's not the number one option on his team, he's very valuable.
He's extremely valuable.
Yeah, and you don't want him to go anywhere. And there's a lot of talk about whether or not he's even going to finish that contract in Boston. But, as of right now, he got his money. No matter where he goes, he got the 304. Yeah.
I don't think he and Jason can coexist. That's just my opinion. I don't think that. I think that they don't enjoy playing together. I think it seems to be
there's a tug of who's the number one. And although Jason Tatum is the number one, I can see Jaylen Brown feeling like there's a lot of times that he carried that team. But that's what a Robin does. That's what a backup does. Like your job is to show up when Batman isn't there.
But what if I think Jaylen feels like he's like Michael Douglas and Ben Affleck in the same Batman movie or something like that.
It sounds good. I remember Kyrie was like, I don't need LeBron. I could be the Batman on a team. And then he got humbled. And then he went back to LeBron. It was like, I apologize. I see what you meant. It's hard being Batman.
It's hard being the number one option.
Yeah, it's a tough job, man. And sometimes your best bet, if you feel like you have Batman energy, if you are somebody's Robin, to be a Robin of a guy that you really rock with. So I'm hoping that what you're saying isn't true, because if so, they ain't gonna last then.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So, kind of to the point we brought about increasing salaries and so forth. We know ESPN, ABC is looking to offload that. And recently there's been a discussion that the MLB, the NBA, and the NFL are all thinking about investing in ESPN. So they would buy the majority. I'm not sure how, those splits would break out with, and ABC would not ABC, excuse me, Disney would retain a piece of it, but the leagues would all be in collectively and running ESPN. Do you think that is a model that can realistically exist?
No, these are billionaires. This is just, it doesn't look good to me. Like, I feel like there should be a separation from ownership and media, and it's already messed up anyway. They're already kind of running what's being said and what's being done, and now this just really puts them right in the thick of everything, and it's just bad. It's bad. all bad.
I think it's convoluted, but I think that they feel like it's the only way that they can compete and survive because we know live sports is one of the only things consistently bringing in high ratings and top advertising dollars. And also, I mean, where are you going to put it? People are cutting the cord of cable. There's 90 million streaming options, and people are tired of paying that. Your streaming bill looks like what your cable bill looked like a couple years ago at this point, and then they're putting all the restrictions and lockdowns. It seems like it is the most logical and cost-efficient one so that everyone could manage and make a profit out of it.
But then what happens to the
ethically,
news?
Exactly.
Yes, you see what I mean? That's the part right there, the tricky part.
So we're making a hard left really quick. We're going to talk a little bit about the weather. We mentioned how heat could have contributed possibly to, what was happening with Bronny. We know that this is right now the hottest summer on record ever. So people are suffering severe burns after making contact with the pavement right now. Like in Phoenix, where it was triple digit highs over the weekend in the upper, 110s to 120s, so to speak. They said that they're actually getting pavement contact burns. People are taking trips to Death Valley to witness the highest heat levels ever.
Crazy.
What would it take for you to take a trip to Death Valley during the highest heat wave ever existed? Would that be something you would be interested in?
No. And it's just really because I just don't chase death. Like what are we trying to prove by doing this? That's like jumping out of a perfectly good plane. I would never skydive.
You would never skydive?
Absolutely never. I would just never do things that will possibly put my body in a position where I could lose it.
I really want to skydive. I don't think that I will anymore at this point. But a couple years ago, I was on it. I was ready to go. I just
Why?
couldn't.
Why?
It just seems like it would be fun and it would be freeing.
Do you know that they don't report how many people die skydiving on purpose?
That
they don't report about it because they don't want people to stop doing it. But a lot of people die.
I mean, I'm not going to do it at this time anymore. But it just seemed freeing.
Freeing to jump out of a perfectly good plane?
Yeah.
No.
And just float down.
The only way I'm jumping out of the plane is if it's my life depends on it. Other than that, I'm staying put. I'm buckled in, everything. Man, what else would you like to do?
It's a lot of things. We'll talk about that later. We can talk about that away from the mic. So also, we know that here in LA, Staples Center will always be Staples Center, even though it's the crypto.com arena, crypto arena. And we have, the new Clippers arena that's coming down the street in Inglewood, right? But Staples Center is fighting, and yes, I'm still going to call it Staples Center until somebody else buys the naming rights from crypto.com, and then I'll still call it Staples Center. But it's just the point. Fox Hills Mall will never be Westside Shopping Center. There's just a couple of things like that we're just not going to do. South LA, I'm sorry, it's still South Central to me.
Right.
No negative connotations there. But so Staples Center is doing a redo. They got to compete. They're going to be losing some things. So they are putting in some new suites. They're going to be called tunnel suites and terrace suites. And they're going to be, it's a 9-figure renovation plan at Staples. And all of the entryway will be through the same, the tunnel under Staples where the players come in. That's where these seats are going to be. And I guess they're going to make it kind of similar to the the field side suites that are at SoFi. They're going to be something like that, but at Staples. So
wait, they're going to be on the bottom level?
I think a couple of them are.
But how? How can they do
that? They're reconfiguring the whole hookup. We're going to talk about all that and more. Coming up is news and sports. You were listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The White House says President Biden was